Arianna Huffington is the founder and CEO of Thrive Global, a leading behavior change tech company helping individuals, corporations, and communities improve their well-being and performance. She is also the founder of the Huffington Post and the author of 15 books. Marina Khidekel is Thrive Global's head of content development, bringing Thrive's corporate and consumer audiences compelling multimedia storytelling and actionable science-backed advice to help lower stress and improve well-being. She has been a top editor for national media outlets, including Women's Health, Glamour, and Cosmopolitan. Chase Tucker is a Peloton instructor, host, coach, model, and speaker who loves engaging in and facilitating conversations that educate, entertain, and inspire. Growing up in a household of athletes in Chicago and majoring in kinesiology in college, Chase knew that fitness and movement would play a big role in his life. It was while working in physical therapy at a sports medical clinic that Chase discovered his passion for helping people overcome physical and mental obstacles to create their most fulfilled lives. Chase has also worked as a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, online entrepreneur, and lifestyle coach, and he uses his optimism and passion daily to serve as a catalyst of positive growth and positive change. All right, with all of that, Arianna, Marina, Chase, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us here. Let me first of all say that I love independent bookstores. Having written my first book at 23, 3,000 years ago, I have particularly loved all my visits to independent bookstores around the world. So we are thrilled to be here with you. And I want to start by expressing our deepest sympathies to our Colorado viewers for the tragedy they experienced recently, and to say how happy we are to have you here today. And so that you know, we wish you all the peace and comfort during these very difficult times.
All right. I think that's it's my turn right now. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor. That intro was amazing. Arianna, Marina, it's a pleasure to be with you. You here right now to discuss your book, Your Time to Thrive, which I have right here, just like you've got in the background right there, Arianna. I guess I'll start with my first question on this book, which I've been loving as my reading during my travels that I'm currently on here in Medellin, Colombia. But Arianna, this first question is for you. Tell us how does Thrive's first book, Your Time to Thrive, how does it capture and build on everything you've basically been working on for the past few years?
Thank you, Chase, and it's great to be with you because you are a bona fide thriver. I think everything I've been reading about you and following you is so aligned with our message at Thrive. So thank you so much for being here hosting us for this discussion. So I left the Huffington Post in 2016 to found Thrive Global because I wanted to help people go from awareness about how to lead healthier lives around sleep, movement, food, gratitude, to action. So we started having more and more people by 2016 who knew that they had to get more sleep or exercise more or eat less sugar or be more grateful, but they didn't know how to do it. So Thrive is based on the foundation of microsteps, small daily steps that lead to healthier habits. And Marina and I thought it would be great to put it all together in one book. All these hundreds of microsteps, all the science behind them, and all the ancient wisdom behind them, plus with hundreds of stories from different people practicing different microsteps, so that they had like a little tiny companion on this journey of better health.
Thank you so much, Arianna. Yes, the concept of microsteps, as I was reading the book, I was fascinated with it because I always recommend to people who ask me about any kind of behavior modification, especially ones surrounding their health, wellness, and fitness, small, sustainable changes. And that's everything this is built upon. So before I ask this next question, this is going to be from Marina, the author of the book. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fact that I'm at least loving and fascinated by the fact that I can be a part of this conversation with two amazing and influential women right on the heels of Women's History Month. So women's history in the making right now, and inspiring so many others, other queens out there. So for you, Marina, the author of the book, tell us about the book itself and why it's especially resonant now. In my opinion, I believe that it's really timely, really relevant for this new norm that we're currently living within. Tell us a little bit about the book itself and why you think that it's especially resonant right now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chase. That was so sweet of you to acknowledge it. So great. It's great to be here with you today. And we were talking earlier, actually, today, Chase, you're traveling and you're taking some time to unplug and recharge. I mean, I think we can all relate that it's been an incredibly stressful year for a lot of different reasons. We actually started writing this book before the pandemic, but when the pandemic hit, we started working from home. Our lives were turned around like everyone else's, and the message became more important and clearer than ever that we do not have the headspace for a huge life overhaul right now. Everyone wants to live better. Everyone wants to connect with what makes them feel their most creative and productive and joyful in life. But the idea of a huge life overhaul, it's not happening right now. So micro steps are more resonant than ever. We are working longer hours in the pandemic. It's called the productivity paradox, where we're sitting in front of screens longer, but we're getting less done. And so the more we worked on this book, the more it became sort of a rallying call. There's nothing wrong with aiming big, as you know, Chase, but we can help ourselves by starting small in movement and fitness and in everything. So we thought, and we've been hearing incredible comments from people who've read this book already about how resonant these tiny micro steps actually are. It's no judgment zone. They're too small to fail. You can't do it wrong. You just dip in the book, choose a micro step, and go.
Thank you so much for that explanation, Marina. And I just want to take a moment, just like, really, I have to applaud you for acknowledging the fact that this was even though you're in the midst of already writing the book, acknowledging the fact that this was a pivotal moment where you could do just that, just like take the momentum of what you were doing and pivot with the pandemic towards, helping people do what once before was more of like an optimization hack and has now become more of a necessity now than ever. So thank you so much for that description. And now this one's for, I'm gonna go back to Arianna for this one. For those who are hearing this and hearing microstep and maybe they're getting the gist potentially, but what, in your words, and actually I'd love to hear from you both. I'd love to hear from Arianna first and then Marina. What is your definition, each of you, your definition of a microstep, if you had to define it in a few sentences?
So our definition is micro steps too small to fail. Like whatever area you pick a micro step in, sleep, movement, gratitude, food, make it so small that you cannot fail. Chase, let's take your world. Let's say somebody watching tonight wants to start exercising. It often seems overwhelming because when people think of exercising, they think of an hour in the gym every day. How about changing that to being one push-up? One push-up. One push-up is a micro step. Because what happens is it changes your mindset from somebody who doesn't exercise to somebody who exercises. Hey, I did one push-up today. And then you begin to build success. And success drives you to do 2 push-ups and 3 push-ups. And you begin to feel different. And it's really something you know so well because I see it in your classes. It's the motivation that comes when you are beginning to feel successful. Let's take my favorite area, which is sleep. And as we know, everything is interconnected. If you are sleep deprived, you are less likely to work out, and your workout is going to be less powerful and effective. So for me, sleep is foundational. Like when you get enough sleep, everything else is better. Your body doesn't crave all the carbs and bad sugars that it does when you're sleep deprived. You are less reactive and more able to deal with whatever life throws your way. So my favorite microstep, and there are hundreds in the book, as you know, Chase, my favorite sleep microstep is to pick a time at the end of the day that you declare the end of your working day, because there is no real end. So you have to declare it. And you mark that by turning off your phone and charging it outside your bedroom. Now, this may seem too big. So cut it down. Do it once a week. Pick one night when you do it. If putting your phone outside your bedroom seems too much, put it on airplane mode. And gradually get to the point where you can't imagine sleeping with your phone. Because you know that when you separate yourself from your phone, you're actually able to really disconnect from everything in your life, your projects, your problems, and be able to really deeply recharge and start the next day fresh.
Chase
I
and I
love
were
that
actually
so
talking
much.
this morning. Chase, why don't you share your favorite sleep micro step that you shared this morning with me? It's actually mine too. I love it.
Yeah, so one of the micro steps that I use and I love right now is the micro step of, setting a timer, 1 hour to 30 minutes before my bedtime to kind of just alert me. And I'll be honest, like when I first started doing it, I just like shrugged it off. Like it was just, I heard the note, I was like, oh, I'm busy. Like, but introducing that micro step got me got in my mind that, okay, like this is the time that I really should be winding down to best set myself up for a restful night's sleep to then crush, the next day. So that's one that I love. And so it was so cool getting to read that and you talking specifically about that. And I was like, oh snap, I've been doing that recently and experiencing so many benefits from it. So yeah, I love that you shared that one.
So amazing. Yeah. And Chase, I want to ask you, as an expert motivator, like we talk a lot about motivation in this book and finding sort of your why for why you want to move more. And as Arianna said, you could start super small and celebrate those wins and build on those wins. And I think one of the micro steps that we have is before you start exercising or moving, think about why you're doing it. What can you tell us about leading classes for hundreds of people? What have you learned about what truly motivates people?
That's such a great question. So you can ask anyone who takes my class. 9 times out of 10 of my class, I start, or I'd like to think that I started with, rooting ourselves in gratitude. Even if it's something as simple and silly sounding as like, hey, we're about to let's go on a walk. But first, why don't we acknowledge something that we're grateful for? Even if it's something as small as the fact that we have a body that's able to walk, you're right. When we live in reality, when not everybody has that luxury, has that ability. Let's acknowledge that fact. And I feel like starting any kind of movement, any kind of practice from the place of I'm already so blessed. I'm already so so much in possession of things that if I was missing them, I'm enjoying now. If I was missing them tomorrow, I would sorely miss them. This isn't a practice to make myself worthy of more. It's simply a practice that's creating more of what I already love and attracting more of that to me. So that's gratitude is that for me, for sure.
Awesome. Arianna, you talk a lot about walking, one of your favorite micro steps and your favorite activities. I mean, in this book, we talk about how walking has so many benefits. It can ramp up your creativity. It can actually stop negative rumination, thinking about things that are dragging you down. And it can be a great place to habit stack. I love Arianna's habit stack with walking. You can.
So yes, habit stacking is one of our favorite practices in the book because it means adding a healthy habit on top of an existing habit, like thinking of what you're grateful for when you are brushing your teeth, or taking a call that you have to take, maybe a regular call, while walking instead of being on Zoom all the time or Teams. there is absolutely no law, I check, that says every human communication has to be on video. So we try to convert as many communications as we can to walking meetings. We used to do it when we were all in the office. Our office is in Soho in New York. We would literally go for walking meetings in the neighborhood. And it's fantastic. It also means that you can't multitask. You know how sometimes people in meetings and end up kind of checking their phones every 5 minutes. If you're walking, you can't do that unless you want to end up under a car. Chase, actually, I have a habit stacking that you may approve of. When the pandemic hit, I decided I was going to avoid the COVID-15. Actually, now we are told it was the COVID-29 for people. And I decided to do that by making a pact with myself that I could not watch any of my favorite shows except on the treadmill. So, for example, when I was watching Bridgeport and getting completely hooked on the show, I ended up being on my treadmill for 2.5 hours one day, just because I wanted to see what's happening next. And I wasn't allowing myself to see what's happening next, except on the treadmill. Chase, what do you think about that?
I gotta say, like, I love that. So first of all, walking, I love that that's something that you practice like that and that you make it part of your meetings, because it is in my opinion, the single most underrated form of movement ever. People automatically think about fitness, wellness, movement, as it pertains to movement, and they think like gym, crazy like workouts. No, go on a walk. Like so I love so much that that's something that you made a portal into your enjoyment of your favorite shows, when otherwise so many of us, myself included, I'm not gonna lie, like when I watch my favorite shows, it's not on the treadmill, but I have a Peloton tread in my room, so in my living room, so now I can start doing that. I think you just inspired me.
That's amazing. And you don't have to do 2.5 hours on a treadmill watching Bridgerton to get a good workout either, right, Chase? It's like we have so much science in this book and so many great microsteps about short bursts of movement, and even reframing how we think about it, right? If you think of it as exercise and I've got to, spend hours in the gym, it's going to feel overwhelming. But if you just think about it as sneaking a little bit more movement into your day, it can have incredible benefits. One of my favorite microsteps is take a 1-minute stretch break in between meetings. Stretching increases blood flow, increases creativity. It gives you so much a feeling of control. Like I'm not just sitting all day long, right? I'm at least doing something, and I showed up for myself and I stretched and I got some movement in before the next thing. What do you think about like quick bursts of exercise? Do you work on that with the people you train?
Absolutely. And I feel like I'm super tempted to like ask you to potentially guide us through one of those like 30-second to like 1 minute stretch breaks on this call. But like, if not, that's perfectly fine. But that's something actually I use when I'm like on, in these like long meetings or in conversations, like sitting down. I have no problem, just standing up, doing like side to side, twist, breathe, close my eyes. Because even like sometimes we think that like we're stressed out and our head is like pounding because of like for a lot of reasons, a lot of stimuli, but sometimes just like our eyes are tired. We just like close our eyes and like let ourselves just like not be stimulated. We forget sometimes that our eyes are literally like nerve endings that are connected directly to our brain. So yeah, love that. I have if I may, I'd love to ask a question of you, Marina. So the book is filled with stories of from all walks of life. Why do you think, in your opinion, it's so important to hear what other people are doing? Because some people, might be wondering, like, why do I need to see somebody else, doing this in order for me to, why can I just like see it as something worthwhile and go for it?
I mean, we're all voyeuristic, right? We want to know what works for other people and get a peek into their lives. And so storytelling is so important. You know, we can say all the science in the world about why the stuff works, but the storytelling brings the heart, right? We want to see it in action in people's lives. We want to see how it affects their lives, their moods, their emotions, their relationships. And so we have so many stories in this book from people of all walks of life, from notable names like Tom Brady and Jennifer Aniston to Thrive staffers. As we say at Thrive, we don't eat our own dog food, we drink our own champagne. And so in each chapter, you're going to see a Thrive microstep diary by a staffer. And we challenged ourselves to do it, just like we're challenging the readers. We tried microsteps in every chapter. Some of them were more challenging for people than others, but you get to peek inside and see what it's like. And, notable people, it's just cool to know, Hoda Kotb, it motivates her to move when she puts on a song that she really loves. And I love that micro step. And, Tom Brady talks about unplugging before bed. It's just interesting. And it brings that level of heart.
Not only do I 100% agree, because like human beings, we literally learn by modeling what we see others do. Like when we're babies, we see our parents do, and we like mimic that. But I love the fact, and I want to applaud you, a second time for, as I was reading the book, I love the little boxes with the quotes of, the notable people and what they're doing in their own. I was like, it legitimately made it like more like fun and even more of a page turner, because I was like, ooh, I wonder like what's the next nugget, like who it's going to be, like who are they going to quote next? And it's so cool because we already have, unfortunately, people storytelling from the opposite end of things, like storytelling of these startups that were built on the backs of like pizza and like, late nights and burnt out. But I love that your book challenges that and asks the question, or poses the question of like, what if the bad choice in food, what if the burnout, what if that wasn't a key to success, but just a symptom of the lack of sleep and the other kind of neglect of wellness that we kind of has been normalized, unfortunately. And I love that this book is challenging that.
That's such a great point to raise, because, there is that glamorization of the founder culture, the founder who never sleeps, or the super successful person who pushes through exhaustion and burnout. And that goes all against data. I mean, I collapsed from exhaustion and burnout and broke my cheekbone. And when I look back at my life, that was in 2007. Everything I had achieved up until then, I would say, was despite my collective delusion that I had to burn out in order to succeed. It wasn't because of that. Sure, a lot of people succeed and burn out. But in fact, you are much more likely to make the right decisions, to be creative, to be resilient when you take time to recharge. So we mentioned Tom Brady. He said that his sleep, the way he eats, avoiding technology in his bedroom have all been instrumental in winning a Super Bowl at 43. So we have data, we have science, we have elite athletes all saying the same thing. And also, one more thing, Chase, 3/4 of startups fail. So maybe there's a connection between all these failures and the fact that founders still believe they need to burn out and as a result make tons of bad decisions.
Absolutely. I've never actually thought about that until you mentioned that. The 3/4 of them failing, maybe it's because they've been taking the wrong approach. Maybe after more people adopt the wisdom and the practical advice from your book, this can usher in a new era where, all 4 out of 4 startups are successful. That's pretty cool. I'd love to ask Marina now. This is a good one. Marina, I love that you write about how we first need to reframe our relationship with time. How does this connect to movement and exercise? Because someone might be wondering potentially, or not see the two as necessarily connected or interwoven, but how does time in our relationship with it connect with our movement and exercise?
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with the stories we tell ourselves, our limiting beliefs. And you're going to hear a little bit more later on in this hour. Joey Hubbard, Thrive's amazing chief training officer, will come do a workshop. But a lot of us tell ourselves, I just don't have time. I just don't have time to work out. And we are so, so busy. But if we come from that mindset, it's going to be harder to even motivate ourselves. So when we reframe the idea of time, and instead of seeing working out or exercising as these big chunks of time that you have to put in your day, and instead see you can fit it in little moments, little pockets of your day, we become more time affluent. Our concept of time actually starts expanding, and we see more time in our day. So there really is something important about the micro aspect of a micro step. It's that smallness that helps us get past all the excuses that we make for ourselves. And I have to confess, Chase, I have not been doing a very good job at regularly working out for the past few weeks. I need your help. I've fallen off the wagon. And I told myself, like, just start small. So I would take a walk, and then I did it. And I could say, like, I did something for myself today. One of my favorite micro steps is after you do a workout or any kind of movement, take a moment and think, I showed up for myself today. I did this for myself. And it doesn't have to be, 2 hours in the gym or anything like that. But, today I did 11 jump squats. I say 11 because I did count. I did 11 jump squats. And at first I was like, don't feel guilty that you should be doing more. You did 11 jump squats. So I knew I had a tiny moment before this amazing event, and I did it, and I showed up for myself.
I love that. And also for the mothers in the audience, mothers tend to feel so guilty about taking any time for themselves. Even the 60 seconds that we recommend in the book, we take at different times during the day. So taking these micro steps is going to make it easier to remove the guilt that seems to come with being a working parent. And also remembering the 60 seconds. It takes 60 seconds to course correct from stress. That's my favorite micro step, because we all have 60 seconds and we all have stress. So while stress is unavoidable, cumulative stress is preventing cumulative stress is avoidable.
Absolutely. Oh, yes.
No, I was just going to say that this has been an amazing time. And I know Marina mentioned Joy, our chief training officer, joining us to help us through a small workshop, the way we do with many of the companies Thrive is working on. And I want to personally say that Joy has been a friend of mine for years and years and years. And when I decided to launch Thrive, I reached out to him, the first person I reached out to join us as our chief training officer. He's magical. See for yourselves.
Chase, I want to say thank you so much. And Arianna, thank you so, so much for joining us for this first half hour of the event. I love what we talked about. And I love the idea that we all sort of came together on, that microsteps, they help us do something in the now and not ruminate about what we're doing and not let that negative self-talk, overwhelm us. We're doing something small, we're moving in little pockets throughout the day, and it's good for us. So Arianna, thank you so much. We can all now watch Richard 10. And Chase.
Yes, thank you both Thank you both so much. It's been an honor to converse with you both today. And to you, Marina, I just want to say I'm so proud of you, Queen, for getting those 11 squat jumps, and keep it up. You're absolutely, you sure you could be doing more, but the fact that you did something is amazing. And I'm here to be, to provide whatever help and accountability that I can for you after this call. And then to you, Arianna, thank you so much for being here with me today. What you said about the mothers, I hugely resonate with, because not only just because I'm a mama's boy, but so many of the people who are in my tribe at Peloton are mothers, and they, in my opinion, mothers are the source, the backbone of so much of what families, communities, our societies are built upon. So Thank you both. Much love. And yeah,
much love to you. Thank you.
Take care.
Chase is so inspiring. I'm going to do 11 more squat jumps after this.
That's 11 more than I did, Marina. So,
Joey, welcome. I am so thrilled to welcome Joey Hubbard, Thrive's Chief Training Officer. And he will lead a workshop. Please leave all of your comments in the chat, and a few minutes, about 10 minutes before we wrap, I'll come back on and we'll get to as many as we can. Joey, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Chase. Nice to meet you, man. I want to share with you some content today around how you can incorporate some of the microsteps that we were talking about over the last half hour or so. One of the challenges that we see when we built Thrive was, people have great reasons, right? And I had a friend used to say to me, you have reasons or you have results, right? And there's always a good reason about why you can't get up and move, why you can't exercise. And those reasons are often very valid, by the way. But I will say to you that you'd be shocked at what even micro movement will do to your day and do to your body and do to your energy level. So I know there's a lot there. And as we dig in on this one, the one thing I want to just remind you of, and everyone knows this, but I just want to remind you of it, even when we're really tired, and we say, well, I just don't have the energy to work out. After you work out, you always have more energy. Just remember that. After you work out, there's always more energy than you had before you worked out. So whether it's just a simple 2-3 minute 11, squat jumps, or whether it is stretching, whatever that is, I promise you that you get more energy from it. It doesn't deplete you. It actually gives you energy. So just a reminder. So let's dig in. We want to ask this question for you to just sort of reflect on. What gets in the way? And there's always, again, as I said, good reasons, but what in your world gets in the way of you being able to have more movement in your day? During COVID, there's been, more hours than ever in the human history of people sitting and looking at screens. And we have, for many of us, it's like we don't even realize how long we've been sitting until we start to feel something, right? Or we look up and it's 3 hours later and our body's sore and all of that. So I want to just give you a couple little easy tips. Then I'm going to show you even some stretches you can do while you're sitting at the screen that will actually, again, make a difference as you work through your day. But first of all, as Marina mentioned earlier, the number one thing, as you heard me say, if you've listened to any of the rest of these, the thing that makes a differentiation between you being able to create what you want or things that get in the way, it's always going to be mindset. Mindset is at the core of everything you do, meaning there's a part of our brain that, based on what we believe, will filter the world that way. I was talking to a woman at Walmart the other day who had said to me, listen, I lead a big team at Walmart. I've got 3 kids and I'm a single mother. And I brought my mom into the house with me because of COVID. She said, I'm taking care of everything right now. And she said, I just don't even see an opportunity for me to work out, to take care of myself. And I said to her, do you have an iPhone? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, pull it out. Let's look and see how many minutes of screen time did you have this week? And she looked, and it was only 6 hours and 47 minutes. Now I say only because for some of you, you might have gotten that in one day, but for her, that was her collected over the course of the week. And I said, okay, all I'm asking for is 10 minutes a day. I want 70 minutes of those 6 hours and 47 minutes. You can continue to watch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you love, but I just need 70 minutes. And she said, okay, I'll give you 10 minutes a day. So we started on this 10 minutes a day journey. And I promise you, over the course of 7 days, she will be better. And every consecutive 7 days that she can just get 10 minutes of movement in, she will be better. So that's the goal. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a small amount of time and you can still make a difference. Also, I'm not an exercise person. Listen, it doesn't have to be heavy exercise. Stanford medicine looked at one of the things that recharged the brain over the course of a week, if you move 3 times a week for 20 minutes each, you recharge the brain. Now, what does that mean? It means that it helps your brain, the prefrontal cortex of your brain, make better decisions. It helps your brain, the hippocampus, be more emotionally regulated. It helps you be more at your best. It actually helps you diffuse stress and anxiety. So listen, you don't have to get into heavy exercise, but you can absolutely take a walk, right? Or you can do micro exercise all throughout the day. And then that's why the last one, exercise requires hours at the gym. It doesn't necessarily require that. And one of the benefits of COVID is that people like Chase can do their whole class online. You don't even have to go in to be able to do it. So I know they've sold a lot more Pelotons and other exercise equipment since this began. But look, you can do whatever you need to do from your home. It doesn't have to be I commute to the gym and I'm in that environment. So again, reminding you about the book and how in the book we'll talk more about just what are some of the small micro habits that you can start to take on that will start to make a difference. I'm going to give you a few of those today, but I know that you'll get a book as part of this, but dig in on this, because this is something that I want all of you to start to capture. Boris talks about it's just 5 minutes in the morning. It doesn't have to be, as I said, long hours. So if you get in and just do 5 minutes and whatever that might look like, you may notice just that 5 minutes makes a big difference in your energy all day long. So again, let it be micro. When I wanted to get back into exercise, I spent a lot of my career in athletics and coaching. And when I got out of that and started being more in the corporate world, I got burned out of exercising all the time. And I'm 60, so it hit me at a certain point where I just kind of done, like doing that regular routine. When I wanted to get back to it, I realized I had this negative kind of image in my head about exercise. I started doing 5 minutes a day. That's all I did, 5 minutes every day. And that 5 minutes a day, if I get in bed and I looked and I saw I had a little card next to my bed that I hadn't done it, I would do something while I was brushing my teeth or before I went to sleep. I would just do 5 minutes right then. Ultimately, what happened in my brain is my brain decided that I'm an exerciser again. In essence, I connected a neural pathway by just doing 5 minutes a day. Once I believed that, I'm an exerciser, I like it's okay again, then I can add more exercise to that table. Where people struggle is they try to go into more exercise initially before their brain has built a neural pathway that believes that's what they do. Then they fall off the wagon and they feel bad, and then it becomes a whole vicious cycle. So start small and do it until your brain believes that that's who you are. You are an exerciser. Then add more to it. All right. The other thing Deepak talks about, and I love this, is just, create a routine in your life where you say, this is my routine as I wind down my day. Maybe I have a walk in the evening. I walk my pets, or I walk with my partner. I do whatever it might be. And then I have a little light dinner, and then I go to bed at a certain time. Creating routines around that, not only is it good for the body will start to more regulate itself, even in terms of weight, when it gets into a regular routine, but also you'll notice that you start to look forward to that it becomes a nice thing to do. And it's a perfect time of year to start something like this, where it's starting to get nice outside in many places in the world. And it can be an enjoyable experience. And then remember this is an easy one. If you look at your calendar and you see over the course of the next week that there are 7, 8 calls that you have to be on that you could potentially walk on, just pick a few of those. In fact, you can habit stack it. You can pick 3 of those over the course of a week, and now you're getting your 20 minutes of walk in, that 20 minutes 3 times a week that gives your brain the full recharge. So think ahead on that, plan ahead. And then this is a really interesting one. We have about 300 minutes of discretionary time every day. So if you recognize that and you say, okay, what am I going to do with my discretionary time today? And again, everybody has different things that relax you. So it doesn't always have to be movement related. But I promise you, if you can take 5-10 minutes of that time and use it for movement, again, your body's going to feel it. Again, it doesn't always have to be exercise, by the way. It can also be like like little micro movements. I'll share some of those with you. But what I like about what Dar said is, Arianna has this whole quote about how she used to dress in her exercise equipment for sleep. So she woke up ready to go. The problem was that was affecting her sleep. So she now has really specific, lovely gear for just sleeping in. But still, you can set up what that gear is that you're going to wear the next morning, have it ready. And that includes all the stuff that may be getting in the way. You may say, you know, it's hard for me because I have to do the kids' breakfasts and I have to do this and that. Okay, one of your evening routine processes might be getting everything set up so you can wake up and jump right into your day in a way that works for you. And again, everybody's different. So you figure out what that looks right, how that looks for you. And then here's the thing, 80% of what you put on your calendar, you will do. 80% of what you put on your calendar, you will do. So there's something in our brain that recognizes that's a scheduled appointment. Okay, great. I'm gonna plan on doing that. So look ahead and decide. And by the way, if you're somebody who's trying to figure out what you want to do, create a week of just diversity, where maybe you ride a bike one day, take a walk another day, do, you know, a Peloton class the next day. Like, just find your way through different types of things and just notice what you really enjoy. You might enjoy doing a different thing every day. You might enjoy something more than something else. But if you're still trying to find what that is for you, spend a week, spend 2 weeks, just trying a bunch of different things, a bunch of different classes, while you figure out what you might like. But important, put it on your calendar. When you do that, again, 80% more likelihood of doing it. Now, I always laugh at this particular stat because I wonder how they get it, right? They say 70% increase in risk of early death for participants who identified as less active. So how do they, how did they get that? Did they get it after they were dead? Like, how do they know? But regardless, we know movement actually makes a huge difference in your longevity and in your vitality and in your ability to just be your best self as you age. So keep yourself moving, keep yourself in some form of regular movement. It doesn't always have to be heavy exercise, but regular movement keeps your body moving in a way that allows it to have longevity. So a couple of things that I see work really well here. Ask yourself why you want to exercise. Here's the thing that I found. When people do it out of a should, so if you look at social media and you see, the way someone looks and you go, okay, I need to look like that. Ask yourself why. Is it because just my ego and I want to look at it? If that's the case, you may get there, but then you'll go back. That's why people rubber band on weight. They haven't really connected to the deep why. Intrinsic motivation, like, hey, I want to be around as my kids age. I want to be around for my grandkids, even my great grandkids. Like, something that has real deep meaning for you is much easier to actually be motivated by than some external motivation like, I need to look this way. I've seen people do a great job of getting ready for a wedding, getting ready for the summer. Like, I had someone the other day was on our team was saying, I can't move right now. I said, well, it's because I did on my exercise, I'm getting ready for my summer, bathing suit. And it's like, yeah, we can get motivated to do that. But then what happens after that? We go back. So find a way to make that motivation deeper than just this one simple moment in time, because otherwise, again, it doesn't stick. The other thing is microbursts of activity into your day. And again, microburst, I'll show you a couple little things you can do, but microbursts can be 1 minute, 2 minute long activities. It does not have to be long. You get off of a Zoom call or Teams call or whatever you use, WebEx, and then you get up and you stretch and you move for 30 seconds and a minute and sit back down and keep going. That's going to be good for you. That'll be a lot better for you than sitting there where your sciatica and your low back and your neck, shoulders are all starting to get sore. So microbursts work, and then get somebody on your team. So the social element of this can be fun. Your group of friends, whoever they may be, that's in your tribe, get a rhythm going on this. Hey, we're going to connect. Everybody, let's talk to each other at a certain time of day, or accountability buddy. Check in with me. I'll check in with you. When are we doing our walks? even on your team, I have teams at some of the organizations we work with that say, we're all going to walk at the same time together. So let me show you just a couple of quick things that you can do just sitting in your chair to help you. We can all do this together. So there's a couple things that we looked at. We talked to a physical therapist about what happens when you sit for long periods of time. There's a lot of impact on neck and shoulders in particular. So I'm going to show you some neck and shoulders exercises. One is just from the fact that we're leaning over a lot when we're typing. Another is from the fact that we will look down a lot. And so our head weighs between 8 and 10 pounds. When we're leaning over all day, the weight on our neck goes from 8 to 10 pounds to 39 pounds. So we've seen people show up in hospitals, doctors now, talking about, I have this thing in my neck. We're calling it text neck. But what it really is their heads being in an unnatural position for a lot of the day. So a couple of things that will help you with that. First is you just take your arms and stick them straight out in front of you. Okay, thumbs up, and then bring them all the way to the side. So as far out to the sides as you can, and just go back. Some of you probably are really limber and can go way back, but as far back as you can go. Then I want you to turn your thumbs out. You'll start to feel the stretch in your arms, your shoulders, your neck. You'll feel it all up and down the outside of your spine if you hold that in that position, just for about 30 seconds. And then come back. Okay, you can stretch that out. Second is bring your elbows in, same position, thumbs up, arms out, elbows all the way into the body, and do the very same thing. Stretch all the way out as far as you can, and then turn your thumbs out. And again, you're stretching, again, muscles in the back, arms, shoulders, but different set of muscles. And again, these are the muscles that get tight from typing all day long. All right. So this is a simple stretch. You can do it while you're sitting in your chair even, right? So now you're stretching while you're sitting there. The second one I'll show you is really easy. It's just called a neck stretch. And all I want you to do is take your head and let it rest on your shoulder. You can go to your right shoulder if you want to start. Now, some people will take their hand and just place it on their head and then gently give it a little pull. Or you can just let it rest there. You decide. And you'll feel a stretch along the neck here, right? That stretch is stretching out the neck from just sitting there looking over and looking down all day long. You can then come back up to this position. Then we're going to go straight sort of at an angle towards sort of our underarm. And you can just pull down. And you'll feel the stretch in the back of the neck there. And again, be ultra gentle with yourself here. You're not pulling too hard. You're just letting the neck and the head naturally stretch itself. And then go to the other side, okay? Hand on head, you'll just give it a little pull. Just about 30 seconds. And then again, angle down, same thing. Okay, very simple. You do that a few times a day, you're going to keep this area of your body loose even while you're sitting in your chairs. And then again, encourage you to stand up, stretch your arms up, stretch them out. Again, 30 seconds of that makes a difference if you don't have a chance to move or do some running in place or whatever that might be to get your body moving. But just so you know, 1 minute of just heavy running in place, stand up and just do that, actually make a difference. We also talk about chair squats. You can just stand up and touch your butt back on the chair and up, back on the chair, up. Do that 10 times. It gets the blood flowing all throughout the body, but it also tightens your legs, gives you a nice booty, all the stuff that, you know, everybody wants. All right. So I'm going to take some questions here. We'll bring Marina back in. And anybody have any questions or any way we can support you here in the last 10 minutes or so?
Thank you so much, Joey. I feel so relaxed after that. I wonder why.
Did you stretch? Were you stretching?
I was stretching. I was following right along. And everyone continue to put your questions in the chat. This is one that's really relatable. If you get into a rut, Joey, or have a day where you don't reach your goals or a week, how do you start again and feel that motivation again?
So here's the thing that loses motivation is when we don't do it and we beat ourselves up. So we always talk about this as a no judgment zone. So you're going to do your best, and the steps you take every day, acknowledge and give yourself just a little pat on the back, right? But when you miss a day, what we see is that when you start going, I can't believe I did that, and you start beating yourself up, what happens is that's what drops your motivation. And when that adds to 2 or 3 days, now you're really losing motivation because you're beating yourself up so much. So you got to go into, hey, forgiveness. I did miss a day, I missed a couple of days. When you stay neutral, it's so much easier to get started again on the next thing. And then get a person in your life, accountability buddy, we call them, that if they check in with you and you check in with them daily. So if you miss a day, again, no judgment zone. Hey, Marina, you missed. Okay, no worries. How are you going to do it tomorrow? Let's just think it through. Well, tomorrow, let me look at my calendar. All right. Have about 3 o'clock. I have some time. I might be able to get in like 15. Okay, I'm calling you at 3. Let's do 3 tomorrow. Right. So you create a person who's helping you. And again, interesting science on this. A buddy being accountable to someone else is actually, for most of us, easier than being accountable to ourselves. And there's a lot to that at some point maybe we'll have time to talk to you about, but that is fascinating. You're more willing to keep a commitment to someone else than you are to yourself. So you get someone else in the loop, often it makes it a lot easier to complete that commitment.
And there's mental health benefits, right, of that accountability buddy, or working out as as part of a group. Like everyone who does Peloton with Chase knows that, you know, there's mental health benefits of working out with others. Yeah.
Community is great. Community is fantastic. That's why, I mean, you get on a call, you're on it with Chase, and Chase has got you going, and everybody's all moving and jumping around and excited. It's like a party. Yeah. And that, triggers dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin boost, serotonin boost. That gives your brain energy, but it gives your body energy. And so, yeah, that's magic. That's why that's what's great about classes, and why people are more consistent in classes is community makes it a lot easier. So the other question, the other way to answer that question is get on a team of people who are all supporting you, that you want to be a part of what they're doing. And that combination is great because you motivate them, they motivate you. It goes back and forth.
I love that. And I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about just taking it almost as information. If like I didn't do this today, I was talking, doing another webinar the other day with Angela Duckworth, who's the author of Grit. Yeah. And she said something that made me really think, which is like, get curious rather than get upset with yourself. So if you miss a day, or if you miss a couple of days, and act like a scientist or a kid, and ask questions like, I wonder why I didn't do that. And then you start going deeper and answering those questions rather than getting angry or judgmental of yourself. And I've been trying to do that since I talked to her, being like, I wonder why I've been in this rut. Like, is it because I'm not really sleeping well? Is it because my stress level is higher than usual? And looking at it as like information and almost like a science experiment. It was like, it might be this. Maybe if I slept more, I'd, and then you tick the things off, which I thought was super, super cool.
It's true. And the other thing is understanding that we all have a paradigm, and the paradigm affects the choices we're making. So my paradigm is, I have to do to be valuable. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to prioritize doing stuff for somebody else over taking time for me. Because I want to prove my value more so than I want to be in shape. So that's a very important thing to understand, is what's driving me daily. And if what's driving me daily is I've got to be proving to everybody in the world that I know what I'm doing, then you're gonna miss time in taking care of yourself, because you have to do stuff for you to be able to get that result.
Joey, that actually segues really well in a question we got earlier in the hour, actually, from Bruce. And it's really interesting, when does all this emphasis on self and wellness become selfish? What about service obligations to firm, family, friends, others?
Yeah, well, I say to people, it's an and. I never see it as an or. The better I take care of myself, the better server I am. I mean, the reason why I take care of myself is so that I can serve others. Those things are critical. If you want to be a great mom, take care of yourself. You want to be a great dad, great partner, great son, it doesn't matter. Take care of yourself. If you don't, you will start showing up in your worst self. and you will not be good at all those other things. So it's not about, I see selfish as the idea of caring for self. And it's critical to do that, to be able to care for others. At some point, the oxygen mask analogy isn't just a nice thing that they talk about. Literally, if you decide to be selfish and put air on yourself so that you can put air on everybody else, that's a good thing for them. If you decide to be selfless and put all the oxygen mask on everyone else, you will pass out. And then you will not be able to continue serving them.
That is a great mindset shift. I find myself thinking that way sometimes too, with all this emphasis on wellness. And even though we know it's essential, it feels like, oh, but it's like, what am I doing going to get a massage? Like, people are suffering, that kind of thinking is real, right? Like we've got to get past that and be like, I can't, like, we're so lucky to be on this earth, and I cannot take advantage of that gift if I don't feed myself.
And you can't be of service to anyone else if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. This question is really great, Joey. What if it feels too late to start? How do you let go from the past and think positively about the future?
Well, the biggest challenge that often people run up against is your belief in yourself has been impacted by the choices you've made. So if I have said I'm going to work out and I didn't for most of my life, and then I tell myself I really do want to work out, my body's going to say, okay, my brain's going to say, no, you're not. Because I haven't been consistent with keeping my word to myself. So again, what people need to remember is that when you keep your word to yourself, your brain then believes what you say you're going to do. So it's never too late. It's just start in a way where you believe yourself. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, do you believe you would work out for 1 minute? Yeah, I think I can do that. Okay, great. Start there. That's why microsteps are so impactful. I start there. I work out for 1 minute every day until my brain starts going, oh yeah, I do know how to do this. Then you can start adding more on. So yeah, it'd be great to jump into a class with Chase, but you may need to start with just doing it 1 minute a day until your brain starts to go, yeah, this is who I am. I believe that I can do it. And then you go to the class once you've built that neural pathway.
That so impactful, just even towards what Arianna said about being a person who moves. It's not, I need to exercise to fit into the bathing suit or whatever, but I'm a person, like becoming a person who moves, and it doesn't have to be grueling workouts. It can just be walks. Like I'm a person who walks. I'm a person who incorporates movement. I love that so much. Last question, because I want to be mindful of time, but somebody is asking, sometimes I feel like I'm doing well in one area at the cost of all the others. How do I create holistic rituals that won't come at a cost?
Yeah, so part of it is to really understand priorities. So one thing to remember is you will not get everything done. So that's the first mindset shift. So the second mindset shift becomes, if I'm not going to get everything done, what do I want to make sure I get done daily? And prioritize those things. And some days you'll prioritize movement, and another day you'll prioritize sitting on the couch and hanging out with your kids. And they could rotate. But as you think through your day, understand the priorities, plan your schedule out. When you have a good sort of 360 on it, or 60,000 foot view, it's a lot easier than when you're in it. So you have to step back and give yourself perspective so you can see it holistically versus worrying about these day-to-day, oh, I didn't get it done, I feel bad, kind of moments.
I love that idea of prioritizing. And one of my favorite microsteps is every day just let go of something that doesn't serve you anymore. And it could be a negative mindset. It could be a resentment. It could be a meeting that you don't actually need to be in. And that helps you sort of prioritize the things that you actually really care about. Yeah. Thank you so much, Joey. This has been incredible. And thank you everyone for joining us and for your thoughtful questions and for being here with us.